She will act like it doesn't matter. She'll pretend she's unbothered. But deep down, something is shifting, and she feels it. There comes a moment when a woman realizes she no longer controls you, and that realization shatters her ego. You won't see it on her face. She won't admit it, not to you, not even to herself, but it's there, beneath the surface, gnawing at her. Most men make the same mistake. They chase, they explain, they try to fix things when a woman pulls away. They overcompensate, thinking that if they just prove their worth, she will see them differently. But the truth, the more you give, the less she values you. The moment she senses that you need her approval, she knows she holds the power. And that power dynamic, it's what keeps you trapped. But what if you could flip the script? What if instead of reacting, instead of chasing, you did something completely different? Something that shakes her to her core? That's where Stoicism comes in. Stoic philosophy isn't just about enduring hardship. It's about mastering your emotions, controlling your reactions, and reclaiming your power. It's about understanding that your peace is non-negotiable. And when you apply Stoicism to your relationships, everything changes. She expects you to beg for her attention. She expects you to seek her validation. But when you don't, when you remain unmoved, it forces her to question everything. In this video, we're breaking down 9 Stoic principles that will completely change how you handle these situations. You'll learn why silence is your greatest weapon, how emotional control shifts the power dynamic, why detachment is the ultimate leverage, and most importantly, how walking away with quiet confidence can shake her in a way she never saw coming. If you've ever felt like you were chasing someone who didn't truly appreciate you, if you've ever wondered why some men command respect effortlessly while others struggle for scraps of attention, this video is for you. Stick around, because the final principle is the most powerful lesson of all. And if you're ready to reclaim your power, hit the like button and subscribe. Join us at Stoic Teachings today, where we break down the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and show you how to apply it in the modern world. Now, let's dive in. 1. Silence is power, the ultimate Stoic move. Silence is not weakness, it is power. And when you learn to wield it, everything changes. She expects you to react. She expects you to chase. She expects you to explain yourself, justify your worth, and prove that you still care. But the moment you break that pattern, the moment you stop feeding her ego with your attention, you become an enigma. And that unsettles her more than anything else. Most men make the critical mistake of over-explaining. They text back too quickly. They ask why she's distant. They try to fix things when she pulls away. But here's what they don't realize. The more you talk, the weaker you seem. Every word, every explanation, every attempt to bring her back into your life reinforces her belief that she holds control over you. And when a woman knows she controls you, she stops respecting you. Stoicism teaches us that control is not found in forcing external outcomes, but in mastering our own reactions. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the essence of the Stoic mindset. When you stop reacting to her games, when you remove yourself from the emotional battlefield, you reclaim the power you unknowingly gave away. She thrives on your attention, your validation, your need to be heard. But when you refuse to engage, she is left in silence. And silence forces her to confront the one thing she's been avoiding, her own thoughts. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a man truly in control of himself? A man who didn't overreact, who didn't chase, who didn't explain himself. There is something undeniably powerful about a man who moves in silence. He doesn't beg, he doesn't plead. He simply exists on his own terms, and that makes people, especially women, take notice. Imagine this. A woman starts pulling away. Instead of reacting, instead of questioning her, instead of sending long messages about how much you care, you do something completely unexpected. You go quiet. You focus on yourself. You invest your time into your own growth. At first, she might not notice. She might assume you're just giving her space. But then, days pass, and you still don't reach out. Suddenly, she starts wondering why. Why isn't he chasing? Why isn't he asking what's wrong? Why isn't he trying to win me back? That's when the shift happens. That's when the silence starts working against her instead of you. This isn't a trick. This isn't about playing games. This is about rewiring your mindset. The Stoic man understands that his self-worth does not come from external validation. He doesn't need to explain himself. He doesn't need to prove anything. He simply exists in a state of unwavering confidence, knowing that those who truly value him will naturally gravitate toward him. And those who don't, they were never meant to stay. By embracing silence, you achieve three things. First, you maintain your dignity. No more chasing. No more desperate attempts to fix something that isn't yours to fix. Second, you force her to reflect. Instead of reinforcing her sense of control, you create uncertainty. And third, you cultivate peace. The more you detach from the outcome, the stronger you become. So here's your challenge. The next time she pulls away, say nothing. Do nothing. Let the silence do the work. Focus on yourself. Build your life. Develop an unshakable sense of self-respect. And watch what happens. Because when you master silence, you master the power dynamic. And that changes everything. This is Stoic Teachings Today. Stay strong, stay centered, and remember, your power is yours. 2. Emotional control. Master your reactions. Emotional control is the foundation of true power. A man who cannot control his emotions cannot control his life. And in relationships, the one who stays composed, the one who refuses to be swayed by external forces, always holds the upper hand. Women are wired to test men, not out of malice, but out of instinct. They want to see how solid you are, how unshakable your confidence really is. And most men fail these tests without even realizing it. She pulls away, and they panic. She gives them attitude, and they react emotionally. She challenges their authority, and they try to argue their way back into respect. But a Stoic man, he understands that reacting emotionally is the fastest way to lose power. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the essence of the Stoic mindset. You cannot control what a woman does. You cannot control how she feels. But you can control how you respond. And your response is everything. Imagine this. A woman starts acting distant. She takes longer to reply. She cancels plans last minute. Most men would immediately ask, "What's wrong?" They'd start over-explaining, overcompensating, trying to fix something that might not even be broken. But what does that signal? It tells her that she controls the dynamic, that she can dictate your emotional state with her behavior. And once she realizes that, she will test you even more. She will withdraw even further. And before you know it, You're chasing someone who has already lost respect for you. Now, picture a different scenario. She pulls away, and you remain unfazed. You don't ask why. You don't react. You continue living your life as if nothing happened. At first, she might not care. She might even expect you to double text, to seek reassurance. But when that reassurance never comes, when she realizes that her absence doesn't shake you, that's when she starts to question herself. This isn't about playing games, it's about reprogramming your mindset. A Stoic man understands that emotional control is not just about relationships, it's about life. When you learn to master your reactions, you stop being a victim of circumstance, no more being manipulated by emotions, no more letting external events dictate your inner peace. You become the kind of man who moves with purpose, who cannot be thrown off course by temporary fluctuations in someone else's behavior. The benefits of this are profound. When you control your emotions, you experience less stress and anxiety. You stop wasting energy on things that don't deserve your attention. You gain clarity, focus, and a deep sense of inner peace. And most importantly, you naturally command respect, not just from women, but from everyone around you. So here's your challenge. The next time someone tries to provoke you, pause, breathe. Instead of reacting impulsively, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Most of the time you'll find that it isn't. And in that moment, you'll feel something incredible. You'll feel control. Master your emotions, and you master your life. This is Stoic Teachings today. Stay strong, stay centered, and never let the outside world dictate your inner peace. 3. The power of detachment. Stop seeking validation. Detachment is not indifference. It is freedom. And when you stop seeking validation, you reclaim control, not just over your relationships, but over your entire life. Most men don't realize how much of their energy is spent trying to gain approval. They seek validation through attention, affection, or even conflict. But the harsh truth, the more you seek it, the less valuable you become. A man who is dependent on external validation is easily controlled. He reacts to every shift in a woman's behavior. He needs reassurance. He needs to be acknowledged, and that need makes him predictable, weak. But a Stoic man, he understands that his worth is not determined by how others see him, but by how he sees himself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." The same applies to attachment. If you live your life constantly needing others to validate your existence, you will never be free. True strength comes when you detach from the need for external approval and find contentment within yourself. Think about this. Have you ever noticed that the people who care the least about validation are often the ones who command the most respect? They don't chase. They don't try to prove anything. They simply exist in their own reality, completely unfazed by whether or not someone approves of them. And because of that, people are drawn to them. Now, let's apply this to relationships. A woman expects a man to seek her validation. She expects him to prove his worth, to try harder when she pulls away, to chase when she becomes distant. But when you refuse to play that game, when you detach and remain unaffected, it disrupts everything. Suddenly, she is the one questioning. She is the one wondering if she misjudged you. And that shift in dynamic is where your power lies. Imagine this. You text a woman and she takes hours, maybe even days, to reply. The average man, he double texts. He waits anxiously. He starts overanalyzing why she's distant. But a man with a Stoic mindset, he doesn't react. He doesn't need a response to feel validated. He understands that a delayed reply is nothing more than an external event, and external events do not dictate his emotional state. What happens next? At first, she might not care, but over time, as she notices your lack of reaction, she starts wondering why. Why isn't he chasing? Why isn't he checking in? Why does he seem so unaffected? That's when the power dynamic shifts, and that's when detachment starts working in your favor. This doesn't mean you should pretend not to care. True detachment isn't an act, it's a mindset. It's understanding that you are complete with or without external validation. It's knowing that whether someone stays or leaves has no impact on your self-worth. And when you reach that level of emotional control, not only do you command more respect, but you also experience a level of peace that most men never will. So here's your challenge. The next time you find yourself seeking validation, whether from a woman, a friend, or even social media, pause. Ask yourself, why do I need this? Then remind yourself that you don't. Let go of the need for approval. Stop chasing. Focus on yourself, because the less you seek validation, the more powerful you become. This is Stoic Teachings Today. Stay strong, stay centered, and remember, your value is not up for negotiation. 4. Self-respect is non-negotiable. Self-respect is not optional. It is the foundation of who you are. If you compromise it, if you allow others to treat you with disrespect, if you bend your standards just to keep someone in your life, you are the one teaching them that your worth is negotiable. And the moment you do that, you lose power. Most men struggle with this without even realizing it. They tolerate behavior they shouldn't. They accept disrespect in small doses, excusing it, overlooking it, until one day they wake up and realize they've been devalued. The truth is, a woman will never respect a man who does not respect himself. And once respect is gone, attraction follows. Stoicism teaches that self-respect is not something others give you. It's something you enforce through your actions. Epictetus said it best. How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? That's the real question. Because every time you accept mistreatment, every time you ignore a red flag, every time you let someone cross a boundary without consequence, you are signaling to the world that you don't value yourself enough to walk away. Think about this. Have you ever met a man who truly commanded respect? He didn't need to argue for it. He didn't demand it with words. He simply carried himself in a way that made it clear. He had standards. He knew his worth. And if someone disrespected him, they were gone. No second chances, no emotional outbursts, just quiet, firm action. That kind of man doesn't need to explain himself. His presence alone sets the tone. Now let's apply this to relationships. A woman will test a man, consciously or unconsciously, to see what he will tolerate. She may cancel plans at the last minute. She may speak to him with subtle disrespect. She may ignore his boundaries, just to see if he holds firm or folds under pressure. And most men, they let it slide. They rationalize it. They tell themselves, it's not a big deal. But it is a big deal, because the moment you allow small acts of disrespect, you open the door for bigger ones. A Stoic man does not beg for respect. He does not chase validation. He does not try to convince someone to treat him well. He simply makes it clear, through his actions, not words, that if someone does not respect him, they lose access to him. And this isn't just about women. This applies to friendships, business, family, every aspect of life. Imagine this. A woman you're dating speaks to you with sarcasm, mocking you in front of others. Most men would either laugh it off or try to argue back. But a man with a Stoic mindset, he calmly looks at her and says, "I don't allow people to speak to me that way." And then he walks away. No anger, no emotional reaction, just a clear, firm boundary. That kind of response is rare, and because it's rare, it commands respect. The benefits of self-respect go beyond relationships. When you hold yourself to a higher standard, everything in your life improves. You experience less stress because you no longer tolerate situations that drain your energy. You attract better people, people who recognize your value without you having to prove it. And most importantly, you find peace. Because when you stop seeking approval and start living by your own standards, you free yourself from the emotional chaos that comes from trying to please others. So here's your challenge. The next time someone disrespects you, do not explain, do not argue, do not seek their approval. Simply remove yourself. Let your actions set the boundary. Because when you make it clear that your self-respect is non-negotiable, the right people will rise to meet your standards and the wrong ones will disappear. This is Stoic Teachings Today. Stay strong, stay centered, and never lower your standards for anyone. 5. Walk away and she will feel it. Walking away is not a loss. It is the ultimate declaration of self-respect. A man who has mastered the Stoic mindset understands that chasing someone who does not appreciate him is an insult to his own worth. And when he chooses to walk away, not with anger, not with bitterness, but with quiet confidence, he creates a shift so profound that she has no choice but to feel it. Most men make the mistake of believing that if they just explain themselves, if they just try harder, if they just show how much they care, she will finally see their value. But that's not how attraction works. The harder you chase, the further she pulls away. The more you try to prove yourself, the less she respects you. And once a woman loses respect for you, it's over. No words can change that. No effort can undo it. Marcus Aurelius said, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." If your ambition is to gain someone's approval at the expense of your dignity, then you have already lost. But if your ambition is to preserve your self-respect, to value yourself above fleeting emotions, then walking away is not weakness, it is power. Think about this. Have you ever walked away from a situation expecting it to be the end, only to have the other person suddenly come back? That's because walking away creates a void, and human nature hates voids. When you remove your energy, your attention, your presence, it forces her to sit with the silence, and that silence is powerful. Let's put this into perspective. A woman becomes distant. She stops putting in effort. Most men would panic. They would ask what's wrong. They would try to fix things. But what if instead you simply disengaged? No drama, no confrontation, just distance. You shift your focus back to yourself, your goals, your growth, your purpose. At first, she might not care. She might even act relieved. But over time, as she realizes you're truly gone, the reality sets in. Why isn't he chasing? Why isn't he trying harder? Did I misjudge him? This is the power of detachment in action. It forces her to question everything. And even if she never admits it, even if she never comes back, one thing is certain, she will feel it. But here's the truth. Walking away is not a tactic. It's not a game you play to manipulate emotions. It's a fundamental principle of self-respect. You walk away not to make her regret, but because you refuse to stay where you are not valued. The benefits of mastering this mindset are endless. You will experience less stress and anxiety. You will stop wasting time on people who do not reciprocate your energy. You will naturally attract those who see your worth without you having to prove it. And most importantly, you will find peace. Because nothing is more liberating than knowing you are strong enough to let go. So here's your challenge. The next time you feel the urge to chase, to seek validation, to prove yourself to someone who is pulling away, pause. Instead of reacting, choose silence. Instead of chasing, choose distance. Instead of clinging, choose yourself. Because when you walk away with confidence, you don't lose anything. You gain everything. This is Stoic teachings today. Stay strong, stay centered, and never beg for what should be freely given. 6. Letting go is strength, not weakness. Letting go is often seen as a weakness, but in reality, it is the greatest form of strength. When you refuse to let go of something or someone, you are essentially tying your happiness to something outside your control. But the Stoic man knows that true strength comes from within, and the ability to detach, to release what no longer serves you, is the ultimate demonstration of emotional mastery. Letting go isn't just about walking away from relationships or situations. It's about releasing your attachment to outcomes, to people's opinions, to things that drain your energy. The Stoic mindset teaches us that external circumstances should not define our internal peace. The less you hold on to, the lighter you become, and in that lightness, you find freedom. As Epictetus wisely said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This applies not just to material things, but to emotional attachments as well. The Stoic man understands that the more you cling to things, the more they control you. Let go, and you take back your power. Think of a time in your life when you tried to hold on to something, a job, a relationship, a belief, long after it was clear it was no longer good for you. You tried to fix it. You tried to make it work. But in the end, the more you clung to it, the more it drained you. The more you tried to force something that wasn't meant to be, the more frustrated and anxious you became. And when you finally let go, that's when the peace came. That's when you realized you were free all along. Letting go in relationships is one of the most profound applications of Stoicism. When someone shows you disrespect, when a relationship is no longer serving you, walking away is not a sign of defeat. It's a declaration of your own value. By choosing to remove yourself from situations that no longer align with your values, you affirm your self-worth. And in doing so, you naturally regain your power. Now consider this. If a woman or anyone in your life continuously takes you for granted, treating you with indifference or disrespect, the act of walking away is not only a demonstration of self-respect, it is an essential step in preserving your peace. When you walk away, you are not punishing her, you are protecting yourself. You are choosing to no longer accept less than you deserve. When you let go, you stop giving power to things that drain you. You stop allowing other people's actions or the fear of losing them to dictate your emotional state. Instead, you reclaim control over your own life. You free yourself to focus on what truly matters: your own growth, your own peace, and your own happiness. The benefits of letting go are far-reaching. You will experience less stress because you will no longer be bound to situations or people who do not appreciate you. You will cultivate emotional resilience. You will build stronger relationships, as you will attract people who value you for who you are, not for what you can do for them. And perhaps most importantly, you will find peace. Because peace is found not in holding on, but in the freedom of letting go. So here's your challenge. The next time you find yourself in a situation where you are clinging to something or someone who no longer aligns with your values, take a step back. Breathe. Let go. Trust that by releasing what doesn't serve you, you will create space for something better. 7. Build a life beyond the relationship. Building a life beyond the relationship is not just a choice, it's a necessity for emotional freedom. Too many men make the mistake of defining their entire existence by their relationships. They forget who they were before they met the woman, and in doing so, they lose themselves. Stoicism teaches us that our worth must be rooted in ourselves, not in the approval or attention of others. When you build a life that stands independently from any relationship, you cultivate true power and emotional resilience. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This principle resonates deeply with the idea of building a life beyond the relationship. When you focus on your own growth, whether it's in your career, your passions, or your personal development, you ensure that your sense of self is unshakable. Relationships can come and go, but the foundation you build for yourself will remain intact no matter what happens around you. Let me share an example with you. Imagine a man who has spent years building his life around a relationship. He bases his happiness on her approval. When things start to go wrong, he becomes anxious, constantly trying to fix things, seeking validation from her to feel secure. But when he shifts his focus, when he starts working on his own personal goals, spending time on his passions, or simply deepening his friendships, he starts to notice something important. He feels more grounded, more confident, and less anxious. The relationship doesn't define him anymore. He now has something of his own, something beyond the woman, and that brings peace. When you build a life that's not dependent on someone else's attention or approval, you regain control over your emotional state. You stop seeking validation from external sources, and instead, your happiness becomes something you control. This shift is incredibly powerful. It's not that you don't care about the relationship, but that you don't need it to feel complete. You are already whole. Think about it. If you invest all of your time and energy into a relationship and forget about your personal goals, your hobbies, and your passions, you're setting yourself up for failure. Why? Because when the relationship falters, you're left with nothing. No hobbies, no passions, no sense of identity outside of the other person. That's not living, it's surviving. In contrast, when you focus on building a life that's fulfilling on its own, you create a sense of independence. You find joy in your own pursuits. You cultivate emotional control. And most importantly, you stop chasing. This shift from chasing validation to pursuing your own fulfillment is the core of the Stoic mindset. So, what can you do right now? Start building your life outside of the relationship. Take time each day to focus on your own growth, whether it's learning something new, working on your career, hitting the gym, or simply spending quality time with friends. Create goals that are independent of anyone else's expectations. And as you do this, you'll start to notice how much more peace you feel. You'll no longer be dependent on someone else's behavior for your sense of self-worth. The benefits of building a life beyond the relationship are immense. You will experience less stress because you are not emotionally tethered to anyone. You will develop greater emotional control because you are no longer reacting to the whims of others. And perhaps most importantly, you will find peace. Because when you stop seeking external validation and start focusing on your own journey, you create a sense of purpose that can never be shaken. Here's your challenge. The next time you feel your identity being influenced by someone else's actions or opinions, stop. Reconnect with your own passions. Take a step toward building a life that is uniquely yours. Focus on what brings you fulfillment and watch as your sense of self grows stronger. 8. Cultivate absolute detachment. Cultivating absolute detachment is not about avoiding emotions, it's about mastering them. The Stoic mindset teaches us that we cannot control the actions or emotions of others, but we have full control over how we respond. When you detach yourself from the need to control the external world, you free yourself from the turmoil and uncertainty that inevitably arise from things outside your control. Detachment is the ability to observe a situation without becoming emotionally entangled in it. It's the strength to remain unmoved by external circumstances, whether it's a woman pulling away, a difficult situation at work, or someone questioning your worth. The Stoic man understands that his peace of mind is not negotiable, and he guards it fiercely. Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This profound quote captures the essence of Stoic detachment. It's not about being indifferent. It's about not letting the actions of others dictate your emotional state. When you detach from outcomes, you reclaim your power. You stop reacting to the whims of others, and instead, you act with calmness, clarity, and purpose. Think about it. Imagine you're in a relationship and things start to feel off. Perhaps the other person pulls away. Most people, out of fear or attachment, would chase after them, begging for answers or explanations. But a Stoic man doesn't do that. He doesn't beg, he doesn't chase. Instead, he remains centered, detached from the outcome. He lets the other person come to their own realizations. His peace does not depend on whether they stay or leave. He remains composed because his worth and happiness come from within, not from the approval or presence of another. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring or that you become cold or distant. It simply means that you no longer allow someone else's behavior to dictate your emotional state. When you detach, you create emotional space. You stop clinging to a particular outcome or expectation, and instead, you accept things as they come. You embrace life with equanimity, no matter what it throws your way. The benefits of cultivating detachment are immense. You will experience less anxiety and stress. When you stop chasing validation and approval, you stop wasting energy on things that don't serve you. You will naturally find more peace and emotional control. And you will start to see the world with greater clarity, no longer clouded by the fear of losing control or being affected by others' opinions. A great example of this is when you learn to accept that not everyone will like you or agree with you. Instead of trying to prove yourself to everyone, you embrace the idea that your value is not determined by others' opinions. The more you detach from the need for validation, the more powerful and confident you become. So, here's your challenge. The next time you feel yourself getting emotionally triggered, pause. Take a step back and assess whether the situation is worth your emotional energy. Can you observe it without reacting? Can you let go of the need for approval, for validation, for control? When you do, You'll discover a sense of inner freedom that will empower you to approach life with a calm, steady mindset. This is Stoic Teachings Today. Stay strong, stay centered, and remember, detachment is the key to mastering your emotions and reclaiming your peace. 9. Make yourself the priority. Making yourself the priority is the first step toward reclaiming your peace, your strength, and your control. Most men make the mistake of putting others first, whether it's their partner, their family, or their friends, believing that their worth is measured by how much they give to others. But the Stoic mindset teaches us that true strength comes from within. You cannot pour from an empty cup. When you prioritize your own well-being, when you focus on your growth and happiness, only then can you truly give to others without depleting yourself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wisdom is the core of the Stoic principle of self-prioritization. When you take control of your inner world, when you make your peace and emotional well-being non-negotiable, you free yourself from the chaos and demands of external circumstances. And when you do that, you're no longer dependent on others for validation or happiness. Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly at peace with yourself? Often, we allow the opinions and actions of others to shape our sense of self-worth. We put off our own needs, hoping that others will value us more. But what if instead you chose to value yourself first? What if you stopped sacrificing your time, energy, and mental peace just to earn approval or avoid conflict? What if you decided that your well-being is more important than anyone else's expectations? Let me share a story. Imagine a man who spends all his time focusing on his partner's needs. He works hard to make her happy. He tries to meet her every expectation, but in the process, he neglects his own passions, his own ambitions, his own peace. Over time, he starts to feel resentful, drained, and unfulfilled. But the moment he makes himself the priority, when he starts investing time in his own growth, pursuing his hobbies, setting boundaries, he feels something incredible: freedom. He no longer feels like he's chasing someone else's happiness. Instead, he's creating his own. And when that happens, something remarkable happens. He becomes more attractive, more confident, and more capable of building meaningful connections. This is what Stoicism teaches us. You cannot control the world around you, but you can control how you react to it. And part of that control is making sure that your emotional and mental well-being comes first. You have the power to protect your peace, to set boundaries, and to create a life that aligns with your values. The benefits of prioritizing yourself are clear. You experience less anxiety because you no longer depend on others for your sense of self-worth. You build resilience because you are not swayed by the moods or actions of others. And perhaps most importantly, you create space for real, meaningful relationships. Because when you are at peace with yourself, you attract people who value and respect you for who you are, not for what you do for them. So here's your challenge. Today, take one small step to prioritize yourself. Whether it's setting a boundary, taking time for a hobby, or simply saying no to something that drains your energy, choose yourself. Commit to doing something that nurtures your mind, body, or soul. By making yourself the priority, you'll not only improve your life, you'll become the best version of yourself, someone who can give to others without losing himself in the process. To sum up today's video, We've explored how the Stoic mindset can help you regain control of your life, your emotions, and your relationships. We covered 9 essential principles that will help you stop chasing validation, reclaim your peace, and master emotional control. From cultivating detachment to making yourself the priority, each principle reinforces the idea that true power lies within you. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control others or external events, but we always have control over our reactions and how we choose to live. When you stop seeking validation, stop reacting emotionally, and start living for your own peace, you unlock the strength to shape your own destiny. The core message here is simple. Your inner peace is non-negotiable. Don't let anyone or anything disrupt it. Prioritize your emotional well-being. Detach from what you can't control and step into the man you were always meant to be. This mindset doesn't just improve your relationships, it transforms your entire life. By applying Stoic principles, you can find lasting peace and clarity in your life, improve your emotional control and decision-making, create stronger, more respectful relationships with yourself and others. Now, here's the challenge. Start implementing these Stoic principles today. Make yourself the priority. Practice detachment. Walk away from situations that no longer serve you, and let go of the need for validation. You'll see the power it gives you and the peace that follows. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights on Stoicism. Share this video with someone who could benefit from these teachings and drop a comment below to join the conversation. Remember, change starts within you. The Stoic mindset can give you the strength to control your emotions and your life. Take the first step toward a better you today. This is Stoic Teachings Today. Stay strong, stay centered, and always choose yourself.